What's going on, good people of the internet? It is time once again for Comics Unmasked, the podcast where a bunch of folks shoot the breeze and talk about comic books and such. We are back for not only episode 56, but we are here for our San Diego Comic-Con wrap-up special. If this is a longer episode, don't worry. It is just because there's a lot to talk about. But we are not alone this week. We have busted out the big guns. We have called in quite literally the only bigger Sam Wilson Captain America fan than me to help us out with this. We have Alex Moon TV, brother. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. I don't know if I'm a bigger fan than you. I think we're.
I think we need to look into the background right now.
Right.
You know,
like I'm looking at the background right here, and you got more stuff than I think I can afford in a lifetime at this point, my dude.
Hey, you know, the stuff that I have back here is a culmination of years, not just this wasn't picked up in one go.
He didn't just wake up one day and decide he was a fan. He's been
No.
breathing the fandom.
Yeah. I didn't wake up and choose bankruptcy one day. I had to do it slowly over time.
Hey, there you go. But we will have Alex's stuff linked in the show notes for you guys. Don't forget that you can listen to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and all, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and Audible, all those great places. And you can follow us on TikTok, on Instagram, all those great places as well, where we will be posting clips of this show because this is going to be a fun one. This is going to definitely get folks riled up and talking because I got some hot takes for these children. They ain't ready for it. So let's go ahead and jump into it. The first thing we are going to talk about is the Eisner winners. We talked about them when they were first announced. The reason why I wanted to get it out of the way is because of the fact that originally the Eisner winners were leaked. There was an issue for some reason that the Eisner website accidentally published the link to the winners early, and a specific website dropped it, and I was like, that's some messed up ish, bro. Why'd you go ahead and do that? Why, like, you didn't need to jump on that just for the clicks. And they was looking real ratchet from a lot of industry professionals. So that was definitely the talk of the town for a hot minute. So we are going to jump into the winners because I have thoughts, man. I have a lot of thoughts because it is really frustrating that some of these winners like it just some of this makes sense and some of it feels too typical, and I'm just kind of sitting here like so let me crack this open here. All right, so first up for best short story, Brain Damage won. That wasn't one of the ones we were specifically worried about, but best single issue / one shot. The options were Absolute Martian Manhunter number 1, Assorted Crisis Events number 4, Coin Op number 10, Ice Cream Man number 43, which I'll admit that was a banger. Something's Killing the Children, A Monster Walks into a Bar number 1, and then Absolute Batman Annual number 25. Now this was justified because Absolute Batman Annual 2025 number 1 won. I was like, you know what? That's valid. That's valid. Like the idea of Batman fighting the KKK, basically, in a sense, like them fighting the alt-right, that winning. I'm like, you know what? I'm okay with this. Thoughts, fellas?
I'm okay with it by the sheer aspect that I have so many people constantly coming into the comic shop every single week, and they are picking that up. They see that on the shelf, they are buying it. So like it's there behind it when it comes down to the science for me. Now, the thing that really frustrates me here, though, is that Superman already fought the KKK and kicked their butt a while back ago. And so we should have given it to somebody else because we don't need Batman doing a repeat here. But that just comes from my back knowledge. That's just my little like throw in there. I can't knock it too much because it was good. I have it. It was great. It was a fun read. I still enjoy Batman kicking some KKK butt. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, for me, when I saw that, I was kind of similar to you, Jay. I was like, that's fair. That makes a lot of sense with the content of that book. And I think you also have a fair point as far as like Superman's already done that, you know. But with that being said, I think the reason Batman Annual, I think, hits harder is directly because not everyone's reading Superman like they're reading Batman. And Absolute Batman it's just a big thing. It's the biggest thing in comics right now, arguably, right? And you know, you have a lot of these younger guys and women that are coming in and they're reading these books. And maybe that's the first time a lot of them are seeing, oh, they're tackling stuff like this. Oh, Batman and Superman, all these guys are doing stuff like this. In general, outside of just the cultural aspect of it, I think it was a great read. That's one of those ones where anytime anyone was brand new to comics, like there are certain, like my wife's not a big comic reader. There are certain comics that I read single issues, like, you know, the Captain America Generations with him and Sam Wilson. You know, the Absolute Batman issue stuff. I'm like, this is one you can read. You don't you it's in a bubble and it's a perfect story and it hits. It hits. Art, writing, everything. So that was one where I was like, that makes all the sense in the world to me personally.
Right.
Now with that being said, I'm not gonna lie to you. I am a huge comic fan, and I think I'm a couple, well, several notches down from being as well versed as some people, including Jay. So I did not read everything that was nominated, but
Fair.
seeing that, you know, and I want to be fair to that, but seeing that, I'm like, knowing how big of a cultural moment that was, and everybody was talking about it. I had friends of mine on that morning, like, can you grab me an extra copy? And I was like, the LCS ain't letting me, bro. I'm sorry.
Oh, you know, like they were selling out real quick on that one. And I think people didn't know at the time what the context of that book was going to be. So when it just was on fire, everyone was like, oh. And it was a cultural moment that no one really expected. So it makes a lot of sense. Like Daniel Warren Johnson definitely came in with a sledgehammer and was just like, this is what we're going to do. And y'all need to get down with it. And it definitely was very interesting to just examine and go through. So that one I feel is very deserved. And also, like I'm not entirely happy about best continuing series because I feel like there was a better pick. There's multiple better picks because Absolute Batman also won for best continuing series. There was also Absolute Wonder Woman, Department of Truth, FML from Kelly Sue DeConnick, Power Fantasy from Kara Gillan, and Storm from Marewa Ayodele. I would have been like, give me Wonder Woman, give me Department of Truth, give me Power Fantasy, give me Storm. Like literally the rest of the list could have been all good, but you gave me Batman. And I'm like, did we need that one? Do we like there's a lot of other bangers here, and I feel like you're going for a sweep unnecessarily here.
I feel like it's some disrespect towards Wonder Woman there. Cause for real, this absolute Wonder Woman has been fire. It has been great. From issue 1, I feel like this is what pulled me into becoming like Wonder Woman is top tier for me. She's my favorite out of the family and stuff like that. Just because it gets me so involved with this character. And for the disrespect to just be like, let's give it to the Absolute Batman series. We gave him the one shot, so let's give him the continuing continuity and just you hit it out of the park. It feels so backhanded, especially when like I'm not saying Wonder Woman needs the W, but it'd be nice to see the fans get the recognition to show that like this is why she deserves to be on the Mount Rushmore of superheroes. So that's just how I feel at that moment.
And you can tell that a lot of, I mean, not a lot, but like, you know, these big awards aspect of it, there's a level similar to when people talk about the Oscars and stuff. There's a level of popularity contest going on, you know, and it, I genuinely, and this is just me, we could have, because I personally, I'm not enjoying Absolute Green Arrow. I think it's going nowhere right now. That's just my quick hot take I'm going to throw in there. But we could have had the level of writing for Absolute Green Arrow, and Absolute Batman would still be on here because that's how well Batman's going to sell, regardless. And I think that's just it's one of those things where the like we talked about the Absolute Batman annual. I'm like that makes hella sense, and it's so great. Not that Absolute Batman as a series hasn't been amazing, but it's also like that definitely feels like we got everyone together and that was the popularity contest pick. That was the prom queen and king voting right there.
It felt very odd. Then you have the best new series. Well, actually, no, those two best limited series first. Best limited series. This one, I was like, I know why you did this, but I'm also not happy about it because you had Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees. You had Bronze Faces, Crownsville, Everything Dead and Dying, out of Alcatraz. But then the winner was Absolute Martian Manhunter. And I'm sitting here like, you had 4 other bangers: Beneath the Trees, Bronze Faces, Crownsville, and Everything Dead and Dying. And you went for Martian Manhunter? Like, I'm not saying Dennis Camp and Javier Rodriguez didn't cook. I'm not saying that. But like, at the very least, Crownsville, Rodney Barnes won the Dwayne McDuffie Award that night. But I'm sitting here like there are other bangers here that could have needed that push. And we like DC's already cooking, and we're gonna get into that later in the show. But like a DC sweep is not necessary here, and this is starting to look a little sideways here, fam. I'm like, why? Why did they need that? I don't understand.
I loved the art. I loved the writing. I loved the concept of just your inner personalities affecting the world around you when it comes to the Martian Manhunter. It was a great series. But something killing the children, or not, sorry, something killing the children. The Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, that one had my brain blown. Like that one really pulled out all the chops when it comes down to this, like just everything. Like I feel like that one should have won. That's just me personally. That one like got my girlfriend even more into comics. That's how she started picking up Amethyst, and like I feel almost stabbed in the back. I feel stabbed in the back.
It's a weird choice. Alex, what are you thinking?
I'll be honest with you. Again, I'm gonna say it when it's the truth. Out of all these, I only read Absolute Manhunter, Absolute Martian Manhunter.
Hey, that's valid. I imagine.
So
that.
you know,
that's
one of those ones where I'm like, you know, this is the part where I sit down and I listen because I don't have a huge opinion on that one.
I will make sure I be sending you Beneath the Trees. I've got like 12 different copies of it now because my girlfriend loves it. I will figure this
genuinely,
out for you.
you going off on it right now. I'm like, that honestly sells me. Just the passion behind that project sounds really dope.
So like that one was definitely a weird upset. Like I was kind of sitting here like, why? Best new series, Assorted Crisis Events. This is the one that I think Dennis Camp deserves because Assorted Crisis Events is a banger. I really feel like this one is deserved. Now, do I think that Exquisite Corpses or Temporal like could have like got it as well? Sure. I feel like if anything, this should have been the one category that Stephanie Williams should have won because she was on the list for Temporal because like she was up against some heavy hitters for best writer. I will wholeheartedly admit that. There's like Scott Snyder, Mariko Tamaki, James Tynion. Like there was a lot of big hitters on that list, and we'll get into that. But I think if you were gonna tell me that Dennis Camp won an Eisner on Saturday, or on Friday rather, it should have been for best new series, not for best limited, because Assorted Crisis Events has been like top tier. It's been phenomenal. It is worth your time. I think Exquisite Corpses, Ghost Pepper, or Temporal were definitely up there as well. So this feels like the one that could have been like down to the wire. Batman, get out, fam, get out. Like no. Like I love Matt Fraction. Jorge Jimenez is one of my favorite artists of all time. But I'm also like, do you need to be here? Do you need to be here?
I know those are some fighting words with some coworkers of mine because he was so excited about that Batman one, and like I had to look him in the eye and be like, bro, as I respect it, I do, I really do, but like there are so many other ones out here, and I was rooting for Temporal. I really was. That was the one that's on my wall behind me, right over in the corner, right there. I'm hoping to go to Comic-Con one day and get her to sign it because ooh, that's gonna be so good.
Let's say, Alex, how were you able to have an opinion on this? Were you able to read Assorted Crisis Events? Because I think this.
Oh, sorry, guys. My tablet was doing something dumb. No, unfortunately, this was another one. I'll be honest with you guys. I'll chip in when I have something to say. And some of these, I'm like, you know what? Again, I'm listening, but I'm also excited to geek out about some of these other projects that we'll be talking about in a bit.
Okay, so like I do want to scroll down to best anthology because like best humor publication, best publication for teens, we can kind of like kids and whatnot, early readers, we can skip those. Best anthology is the one that really upset me because I want to make it very clear. DC Pride 2025 was a fun read, but I think this is like year 4 or year 5, like at least year 3 or 4 that DC Pride has won an Eisner, and I think it's time to stop. Like I love, I love DC Pride, and like as a queer man, I love like being there. But I know for a fact that DC Pride has won an Eisner before, And there is something on that list that was more deserving of an Eisner, and it was Noir is the New Black, an indie hit anthology that was worth looking into, fully black written and art and drawn, fully black edited, and it actually told new innovative stories. And they just went, nah, like, we're gonna just give it to DC. Because in my opinion, this doesn't feel like this was about the queer writing and the queer characters. This feels like DC lobbying for a sweep. It feels very precision, because I loved DC Pride 2025. It had a Midnighter story. Midnighter's one of my favorite characters. But I'm still sitting here like, someone else could have got that. And y'all, that was a choice. And I feel like that was a really weird decision not to put that one up, because Noir is the New Black was the more deserving title here. I'm not saying the writers and artists who worked on DC Pride didn't deserve it as well, but I'm also sitting here like, did you need it this year? You put out that anthology every year. Why did you need it this year? You know, like, I'm just kind of,
as much as a DC fanboy as I am, I love my DC. They don't deserve all that love, because there's a bunch of indie projects that have put their heart and soul into things, that have, like JP just said, just, completely changed the books for some things and storytelling wise. And that's kind of the real reason why I got hooked into the Milestone universe. This is a reason why I'm getting hooked onto the Noir universe now, is because there's that different elevation of things. And if that doesn't get put into place in like foresight of people like that, like the Eisner Awards, it ends up going to the wayside, and you're not going to know about it for another 6 more years. And the company's sitting there like, hey, we've been here the whole time. We got some great work right here. You just got to read it. And then it's still, just chucking along, just trying to go down the tracks just a little bit quicker each year it goes around. That I don't want to see that happen to this. I want to see this to be able to blow up and be like as big as it deserves to be. And so I agree with you on that. I really do.
And I would say this is one that I've checked out, and I do have an opinion on this one. The DC Pride stuff, again, this is one that I pick up. This is one that I enjoy checking out when it happens, right? But like you said, one thing that I did notice when I'm going over all of the Eisner Award winners is it is very DC heavy, and this definitely feels like you said, maybe lobbying a little bit, because there's some other conversations we've had with certain how do you say, showing up for different communities. And this is the big one where it feels like, but we do this, which is so fair. That is so dope. We should get these stories. But like you said, is that at the cost of potentially seeing these other things? Because while I read DC Pride, for me personally, I think it's really dope. I don't know if this was like the best. You know what I mean?
Right. Like the other ones have been great. And don't get me wrong, Sam Maggs wrote a great story, but and it did highlight Midnighter and highlighted Alan Scott and Harley and Renee Montoya. And it was a really cool way. They had that overarching plot of everyone kind of getting pulled into the nonsense. But I'm just like, there's been better ones. And I feel like this was the year where you looked elsewhere for this category. It was just like, so it just, yeah. Granted, do I love that a queer anthology won? Sure. And next year, I'm going to be looking for the Tiny Onion Horror Pride anthology to actually be on this list. But I still am sitting here like, this was an active choice. This was an active choice, and I appreciate that Noir is the New Black was nominated, but I'm also sitting here like. So it's just I feel as the double marginalized here, being queer and black, I'm sitting here like, you caught me in a rough spot. I'm sitting here kind of side eyeing you like, but we will go ahead and continue on from there. Where did my list go? Oh my lord. There we go. I was like, where the heck did my list go? So I did want to point this one out. I thought this was really cool. Best graphic memoir was won by It Rhymes with Takei, because George Takei of Star Trek fame won, and I thought that was really cool. Definitely shout out to him. He was at the Comic-Con and got rolled on the stage for a couple of panels and for the Eisners, so shout out to him for that. That was really cool. In terms of anything from there, let me scroll down to the creator section because that's where the juice was. Best writer. You had Dennis Camp, Scott Snyder, Mariko Tamaki, Kelly Thompson, James Tynion IV, and Stephanie Williams. This was a bout right here. This was a stacked team of people back and forth here. And I'm not mad that Mariko Tamaki won because Mariko Tamaki is one of my favorite female writers. I know she can write a banger when she needs to. And I am glad that it wasn't one of the other like white men in the room because there was a lot of white men on that list. But like I'm sitting here like because Scott Snyder's won Eisner's before, Tynan's won Eisner's before, Dennis Camp won in a different category. So like I'm at least glad Mariko won. I would say if it wasn't Mariko, Kelly, or Stephanie, I would have had beef. I would have been very much like there's a problem here. Granted, is Absolute Batman great? Yes. Did Dennis Camp have a phenomenal year? Yes. Has Tynan taken over the indie industry recently? Yes. But I'm also sitting here like, there was some other bangers there, and y'all should be looking elsewhere. And thankfully, they did in this category. Mariko definitely won, and she deserved it because This Place Kills Me is a great read. I think more people need to read that book. But I'm also just like, I really wish Stephanie could have been not only the first Black woman nominated, but the first Black woman to win. That would have been so sweet to see. Like, I'd have loved that. Thoughts, fellas?
All right. So as like I just picked up
Alex, you cut him off, damn it. You're a guest.
Right.
Well, no, but I've been going through like in order, and I don't want to mess up the order. I'm trying to be respectful.
No, that's fair. I wanted Stephanie to win this one. I was full heart in on Roots of Madness with Temporal. I even went and picked up a Roots of Madness signature copies from Stephanie Williams pages because I fell in love with those stories. And so hands down, I was rocking with Stephanie all the way. And then Kelly Thompson would have been my second because like I said earlier with Absolute Wonder Woman, that's what got me back into just reading this DC stuff and getting so engaged into it again. But I'm not disappointed, but I am disappointed as just a Stephanie Williams fan. I'm just over here in the corner holding the flag, just a little like, okay, maybe next year we'll get it.
Yeah.
And I want to say on one end, right? I don't understand because I guess they got to be nominated, right, for like Absolute Batman, Absolute Martian Manhunter stuff. But at the same time, we know those guys can do what they do, right? And isn't this supposed to be for like the new wave, the new things, the big strides in comics? And we know Scott Snyder is going to do something cool with Batman. This is, and not that it ceases to be impressive, but at a point, there's only so many times I can see the elephant climb up on the ball at the circus and be impressed. Am I going to go see it? Of course. But, I definitely, this was one that I was keeping track of, and I was seeing Stephanie Williams on here. And even though she doesn't take it away, right? Some other stuff we're going to talk about later, I think she wins in her own right with other things that she's got coming out.
She still made history, and that cannot be denied.
Of course. And would it have been great for this to be part of that history? Yeah. But I mean, this is one of those things where that would have been very cool. But I think her other thing for history is going to be talked much more than this in particular. Yeah.
Especially if like next year around this time, we're talking about like what we're going to talk about being on like a best of list. That will definitely be something that will be iconic in its own right. Best paint. Oh, where was it? Best writer / artist. You had Junie Ba for The Boy Wonder. You had Jamal Campbell. You had Jesse Lonergan. You had Shang Shen. You had Linear Sterte and Kazumi Yamashita. And then we saw Jamal Campbell get this. Another DC sweep, but a justifiable DC sweep. Jamal Campbell on Zatanna has been groundbreaking, my guy. Like genuinely, he had the run last year, and then he had this one continue, and I'm blown away every time I look at his pages. Jamal Campbell continues to be one of my favorite artists in the game, and I'm glad that he won this because it was very much deserved for sure.
I'm glad. I'm glad. Just from picking up his trade for the first issues and then now being able to pick up his like current run that he's doing for Zatanna, everything is so wonderful for this character, and it's one of those things that are like people are going to look back into 50 years and be like, this dude realized what this character needed and analyzed her perfectly down to the wire and then was able to create a masterpiece because he knew the lore so freaking well. And like, I can just tell this dude has fun writing her. I can just tell that this dude had a story, and like it almost feels like he wanted to be a magician at some point in his life. Like it really freaking does, because he knows how to write like just a storytelling plot device through magic.
Yeah.
That's hard to do. That is extremely hard to do in the premise of figuring stuff out. And this dude nails it on the head. And then he gives you a perfectly crafted box to hold your comics in and say, here, it looks beautiful.
For
This
sure.
is one, unfortunately, I also didn't check out, but literally, I as you were talking, I'm on Amazon on my other window right now. Like, where can I where can I just get these?
Oh
Hey,
yeah,
there's still more issues coming out. I recommend to put
Yeah.
it on a pull.
So it definitely is worth checking out. From there, we had best pencil slash inker or best penciler slash inker team, and Javier Rodriguez took this one for Absolute Martian Manhunter. I, I, I'm not gonna complain about that. I think Hayden Sherman would be my other one that was on that list. I feel like Hayden Sherman definitely was just banging on like hammer and nails to make Absolute Wonder Woman be as amazing as it could be, to the point that now he's gonna do the same thing with Legion of Superheroes and continue to do that with freaking Absolute Wonder Woman. But like everything that we kept seeing come out of Comic-Con, like genuinely, this I'm gonna make a case specifically for my man Javier in this case. No, not Javier, but for Hayden Sherman, because if you even just look at what they announced for Absolute Cheetah for Absolute Wonder Woman, I sat here feeling like, yo, what in God's name did y'all just unleash onto the world? Because what are y'all doing? Like, I saw this and was just like, what is this? What is this nonsense? This is chaotic. This is stress inducing, and you can't tell me Hayden Sherman no got gas. Like, I'm sitting here like I'm not questioning the power of Javier Rodriguez. I'm sitting here going, did you need that award too? You already won for best I think it was best new series or best ongoing series. I'm over here like, you didn't need it for this. Like, Hayden's out here busting ass, and I'm just like, what are we doing?
I agree with you. I agree with you, because when I saw this, I got chills. Like this was the same vibe that I got when I saw the Joker when they were giving that kaiju filling out for that one. I sat there and I was like, "Oh, so we Wonder Woman's gonna be in trouble now, isn't she?" Like I'm speechless at this point, because like that thing's terrifying. And I love the Martian Manhunter. I love the whole aspect that they did with like the art on the back page and you put it up to the light. All of that stuff was super fun, super great, and brilliant. But like that though, look at that. He pulls out full stop every issue. This is what I love about like this absolute universe art that we have been getting, especially from Wonder Woman, is that it feels like they put in their heart and soul into a panel, and then it's just like, all right, on to the next panel. I'm put my heart into the soul in the next one. Character design, heart and soul into it. It like they crafted this universe brilliantly. They knew what they were doing when it came down to these characters, and it shows. And I just think Absolute Wonder Woman deserved more love than what it got from these Eisner Awards too.
You know, I'll say Javier Rodriguez, I think I love seeing this. I think he's an artist that, whether it's, this or Fantastic, whatever, right? I'm a real big fan of classic like Marvel stuff. And that's just, where my biases are going to come in. I'll be totally honest with you. And
Valid.
one of my favorite things about that era is being able to show so much with less detail. And I feel like he is one of those artists that does that. You know what I mean? Like we get some amazing art, and it's not, he's not one of those artists where it's like I can see every shoelace in this buckle or in this boot right now. But the amount of stuff that gets presented on screen, especially, you know, when you have some of those colors that come in later that really make these things pop. I think that, to me, it's always that less is more thing, and I think he's one of those artists that give you not necessarily all the crazy little intricacies, but give you that plastic feel while still feeling like there's a really great piece of art in front of you. So I am not upset with that at all.
Fair enough. Fair enough. From there, we had this. I kid you not. This might have been the one category that if someone didn't win, I was gonna like fight somebody. Like there was two. There was Teddy Christensen for Black Hammer Spiral City, and then there was Martin Simmons for Department of Truth. And thankfully, Martin Simmons won, and I didn't have to fight nobody because I just want to put this on screen. I grabbed this from Global Comics real quick. This is the artwork that you see in Department of Truth. And if someone would have told me that Martin Simmons didn't win for this, there was probably going to be a war on our hands. Like I might have had to call somebody and be like, homie, what are we doing here? This is some of the most beautiful artwork ever to be put in a comic book. You got me messed up if you don't think this is worth getting like the award for that. Like this is just top tier. Best painter / multimedia artist. Yo, like don't get me wrong, those other like titles, I haven't read those ones. This is the first category that I wasn't really too invested in, other than these two. But I'm also like, if you'd have denied my man Martin, if you'd have denied Teddy, we would have been fighting. Like there might have been a problem here. Like so I don't know if y'all were invested in that one like I was, but like, man.
Unfortunately not. I did thumb through them when I was working a couple of days, and I was like, the artwork looks amazing, but I just haven't been able to like dive deep into it. But like, it's one of those things to where like when you pull up a Stanford Green comic book kind of thing, you go like, this hits. Like that's how I felt like the Martin Simmons was. I was literally just scrolling through it, like flipping through the pages, and I'm like, you gotta be kidding me here. Like this dude literally put museum art in a comic book, and this stuff like blows my mind.
It's that good right there, y'all. So best cover artist was kind of like hot. There was a lot of competition here. You had Junie Ba, you had Nick Dragata, you had Francesco Francavilla, you had Mateus Manahini, you had Javier Rodriguez and Hayden Sherman. Again, you could have just told me Hayden Sherman won this one. I wouldn't have been upset. Or Nick Dragata. Like you have all three of the biggest absolute titles on this list. Actually, no, like even four, because Mateus Manahini did what's up for Absolute Superman. So you have four of the biggest absolute titles swinging on this category. I think almost everybody on this list did a cover for like an absolute book, which is crazy to say. So like, I'm not mad at any of this, but I feel like if you could have given Hayden Sherman anything, it could have been this. Like, you could at least given Hayden Sherman something.
Throw him a bone. Give him something. Come on.
This seems weird.
This is one where I'm like, this is one that you just said Nick Dragata. I've been saying Nick Dragota, so I guess I've been saying it wrong this whole damn time. But this is one where I'm like, the absolute thing should have been the thing. You know, because Absolute Batman has not been in publication for a long time, and we already see constantly the homages to that first cover, you know, and just any other. I've never seen an Absolute Batman cover that I'm not like, because you know, there if you collect comics and you display comics, there are some covers that you're like, oh, I'll put that on the wall. That's going on the shelf. That's one I want to display. Not all of them are like that. Every single issue of Absolute Batman, I'm like, I want to display that. I want to put it on a wall. I'm going to take down everything else I own and put it on. This is one for me that I'm like, you know, again, Absolute Manhunter stuff, Martian Manhunter stuff, amazing. Batman and Robin year one. I mean, it's one of those things where that's a great cover. I think the rest of it sucks though. But anyway, you know, that's one where I'm like, that's one where an Absolute series hella should have won that. But whatever. That's the only thing I had to say about that one.
Valid. Best color was Jordi Belair. Jordi Belair's been one of my favorite colorists in the game for a hot minute. I mean, Javier Rodriguez is in this category as well, but I'm also just like, thank God Jordi won, because Jordi has been putting in work, and if she didn't win, we were gonna have a problem. So thankfully, she definitely swept in and got that one. so there isn't any problems in that regard. And then for best lettering, Hassan Osamane won. Granted, he worked on Absolute Batman, Challenge of the Unknown, DCKO. So that's like lettering is a painstaking job. So I'm not mad at that. You take that one. So definitely we kicked butt like when it comes to the Eisners this year. A few upsets, but DC definitely came in and just ate Marvel's lunch, and that's definitely going to be a topic of discussion later on the show because dear God, Marvel, what are you doing? All right. So next thing up on the docket, because this was the thing that I was able to report on that kind of shook the ground, and it was something that I was very happy about because Friday came and I was hoping for this, and it definitely made me very happy, folks. We got the announcement that for the first time ever, we are getting a Vixen ongoing series. Vixen as a character has been around since 1981 for 45 years. And Vixen is finally getting an ongoing series written by the two-time Eisner nominated, the first Black woman to ever be nominated for Best Writer, Stephanie Williams. And I couldn't be happier. You got one of the best possible artists in the game working with her, Carrie Randolph. This piece is sexy. This piece is gorgeous. And I wanted to pull up Carrie Randolph put something up on Threads and Instagram shortly after the announcement came out. He said there was 3 other versions of the cover that were like in the testing process, and I was like, can I get variant covers though? Like they got my girl looking fire here, and I'm just blown away, y'all. I'm just so over the moon, and I am so excited to see this come about. And I got to know y'all thoughts because we'll get to the other one in a second. But this one I needed to highlight. Like this is 45 years in the making. How are y'all feeling about this? Let me know.
So this is exactly what I needed. This is what has been teased about for so long, that we've known that she's been wanting to write for this character. We've known that she's had pitches for this character, and they've been sitting on it for way too long. I had to pull this out real quickly just to show that like she deserves this. She has been working her butt off so freaking hard that Stephanie Williams was like, DC just needed to hand this onto a silver platter and say, work your magic, girl. Work your magic and let you do your thing. And I guarantee day one, people are going to go pick up this comic book and be like, I didn't realize Vixen was so cool. I didn't realize Vixen did this. I didn't realize Vixen could do this. Oh my gosh, I'm Vixen fan number 1. Like that's going to happen as soon as this issue comes out, because that's how good Stephanie Williams is as a writer. And so I am just so hyped. I am so excited. I cannot wait for this to be in my hands. I'm ordering every variant cover that I could possibly be getting for this because it is so good. And yes, variant covers, more of those for this first issue. All of that he was just showing off. Please, 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 please.
I was very hyped when I saw this news because this is one of those characters that outside of because this is a character we were talking about during DC So White. This is a character that kept getting brought up consistently, and one of the things is not only is this an amazing Black female character, but this is just a great character, and I think a lot more people got kind of a glimpse into this character when we had her like in that web series they did for like the CW. And I remember we had like this spike in like, oh, like Vixen. I wanted to learn more about Vixen. And now we're getting this comic, and this is one of those ones where I want people to sometimes you hear like, well, you weren't a fan until this came out. Perfect. This is the perfect time. Jump on board. Be a fan, jump in, shamelessly like go all in. I'm hype about it. I'm hype about this. I will be honest. I think I'm more hype that we're getting. I mean, I think my hype really grew not just for the announcement, but to see who the writer was, to see who's going to be doing this, and then this mixed with other news that we're going to be talking about. But I'm hyped. I'm hyped. This is one of those books that I'm super excited about. I'm very excited as a dad to be able to go to the comic store and be able to show my daughter, here's another strong female superhero, heroine, however you want to say it, that we're going to read about, or that is going to be there for you as you're getting older. So I'm hyped. I'm super excited about this.
Then we had the other person who was at the panel that uh this one's been a hot minute in the making. I I've raved about how amazing Miles Morales by Cody Ziegler was. I even posted a really depressing video like when the run ended because I've been so frustrated by Marvel doing this 42 gimmick with Miles Morales for the past like 2 runs. They did it with Saladin Ahmed, they did it this time with Cody Ziegler, but I'm glad that Cody is able to just be somewhere now where he can really cook, because now we have him coming out with a static ongoing that is going to run parallel with the New Titans book that is coming out. And there was a few people online who were like, well, how is he going to be on the New Titans and have his own book? And I'm like, Jonathan Kent's doing it. Nightwing's doing it. Why do you have a there? Ironically, there's gonna be well, no, she left the team, but like, there's gonna there's been plenty of Justice Leaguers who have been on their own books and Avengers with their own books while being on a team. So when I hear that, that feels skeptical. That feels like you don't actually evaluate this, and I'm sitting here like, you're just hating. And to the people who were saying, oh, I'm not going to read this because I don't like the way Cody Ziegler puts anime references in my books. Shut up. Let the swagger of a young black teen flourish. Like, this is the one time where you gotta pull up and not worry about it, because black teens like anime. Black teens like nerdy shit. Static is a part of the culture in the best way, where he was a young black nerdy kid who just loved being a blurred. And even back in the 90s, Wade McDuffie wrote him that way. So we need to allow like this to be a thing. Like I remember during the one arc where Miles is fighting the Vulture over his girlfriend because his girlfriend is the granddaughter of the Vulture, and you just see them do the JoJo pose, and I was sitting here like, oh, we doing this? Like, you know for a fact that Cody is about to cook here, and I couldn't be happier. I'm so excited. This is gonna be the greatest thing ever. So, fellas, how you feeling?
2 cents I got to throw in when it comes down to the anime thing. Didn't we just have a conversation forever ago about manga beating comics and all this other jazz? And now that you guys have some guy coming in who's going to be able to merge the two perfectly, all of a sudden y'all are like, no, I don't want it. I don't need it. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, back onto the good stuff though. Static? Yeah, I'm ready for this. I have one more of those cases that are set for this cover. When that issue 1 drops, it is going to be read. It's going to be put into that case, and then I'm going to read all of the other variant covers that I get, because that is how excited I am for this Static to come out. I missed my New 52, I missed the Shadows of Dakota, and I missed all of those, and I had to pick them up as trades. I ain't gonna let fair, that happen.
The New 52. The New 52 was kind of rough.
No,
but I see what you're saying.
Yeah, that's perfectly fair. But I'm going to make sure that this trade lasts. I'm going to buy one for every single coworker that I work with, and that's a good amount of them. I'm going to make sure that this book hits number 1 in some way. You're going to be seeing me knock on everybody's door here in Utah as a Mormon and be like, hey, have you heard the good word? Have you heard the good word? We have a Static comic book coming out. Have you heard the good word? We have a Static comic book coming out. Good word for you today, sir. Static.
It's so nice. Have you heard of our Lord and Savior Virgil Hawkins on art too? And if you've read JSA, go ahead.
What was that? Oh, sorry. My my thing tripped up. I barely heard that. No, dude, I'm so hyped about this. I'm extremely. Static is one of those characters that I think can be on par with like Spider-Man. If they would just give him that moment, that opportunity, and we're getting it. Like old Static books, Static season 1. I forgot. So I grew up watching Static Shock the show. That's what got me into it. And you know, I went back and I read old Static issues, Static season 1, Static Shadows. anything I've read of Static has just been absolutely fantastic. And every time I intake Static, I just have that feeling of this can be Spider-Man. Why are there not 15 Static movies? Why are there not more Static TV shows? It is a character that little lightning in a bottle thing that certain characters have. Static has it. They're just not utilizing it. They're not putting him out there the way that he deserves to be. And Static is one of those characters that every time I get asked in a chat, in a video, in a comment, like, what's a character you want as a movie or as a TV show that DC hasn't done? And it's Static. It's Static. Static is just one of those characters that has needed that limelight. And now I'm glad that we're getting it. And my only concern is for some reason, like you said, we got people that are just looking to poke holes, looking to say something about it. Whether it's the how is he going to be on a team with, which is so wild. Because if you've read comic books at all, any character ever has had ongoing series while they're on the Justice League, while they're on the Avengers, while they're in Titans, while they're that's just how comic books work. And sometimes it doesn't make sense, and that's just you got to be okay with that. You know, you can read an Iron Man comic book where he's dealing with something at his home, and then in the Avengers he's in space right now. That's okay. We just like that is such a non-issue. And then the second thing is people again poking holes, like, and again the arguments don't stop. Well, that's just because y'all whined about it, you're getting it, or you got it but it's not because of the advocacy y'all have been doing. And either way, it's just people that want to hate on it. And I just hope that now that we have this, we get the support, because I'm going to be the same way. I'm going to buy 15 copies of this thing. When it goes into second printing, because we're going to make sure it goes into second printing, I will buy another 15 copies. Like the way that I am, where any new Captain America book comes out, I'm buying whatever third or fourth printing we're on. I'm doing that with Static. I love this character. And I think if we show DC that we want this character, very easily, I can see us getting more Static shows, a Static film within the next 5 years if we can show that this is a character that we genuinely enjoy.
So, and here's the thing too. I wanted to talk about that because there was a little bit of commotion on Threads where someone who was a part of the boycott and the campaign basically was like, "You're welcome." And then there was the talk and the conversation from a lot of creators who were a part of this or knew about it that were like, "No, this has been work for a long time." Here's the thing. I don't care if we had something to do with it. I don't care if it was already in the works. I don't care if something was going on before then. I made a big post on Threads and on Twitter and on IG about it because I needed to get my feelings out there. I don't care if I had something to do with it. I don't care what, like, if they were already working on it. At the end of the day, it took y'all over 3 years to get another Black ongoing on a shelf. You played in our faces. You kept giving us limited series or a mini series. You kept gaslighting the community and kept saying that, oh, it's your fault, Black fan, even though you're a marginalized group who doesn't have a ton of people in comic books. We aren't actually trying to give you good writing and good art or even trying to educate people on how comic book sales work, because we still don't do that. The only industry professional who's come out in an open capacity to talk about it is Kyle Higgins for his books with Image. And we're at this juncture where it is so important that DC, especially with these books we're talking about, they need to talk about the fact that marginalized groups don't know how sales work. Marginalized groups are not always welcome in comic shops. And it is really frustrating to me that like anyone would take credit for this other than the creators, because it doesn't. I was like, this is how I felt even when I first brought this up in December. I was never gonna be like, yo, I did this, you're welcome. There was people when we announced the boycott who were saying that we were trying to do this for clout. I don't give a fuck. I wanted this to be there in memory of Dwayne McDuffie, in memory of my father who got me into comics. I don't give a fuck, and I don't care who knows that. You can tell Scott Snyder himself. You can tell Jim Lee. You can tell Blur Without Fear. You can tell every person on the block. And I made my comments on this very clear to Blur Without Fear behind the scenes. We did not deserve credit for this. This has everything to do with DC finally getting off their ass and doing something about it. And whether it was already in the works a year ago or 6 months or whatever, I don't care. 3 years is ridiculous. 3 years should never be an idea that we even cross. That there should at least be one black title on a shelf at a time that someone can support. And this idea that we keep playing in people's faces and saying, oh, no support means you don't want this at all, not that there's something wrong with the book. That can't be flying no more. That can't be flying no more, because that's the situation that Black Panther's in right now, where Black Panther hasn't been on shelves in over 2 years because fans actively boycotted John Ridley and Eve Ewing's run because they weren't satisfied with it. And then you took that as, oh, you just don't want this, period. Stop playing that game. That's the situation that Wonder Woman fans are in right now. Wonder Woman fans are in a chokehold right now with DC, where they are want to boycott Tom King because Tom King is ruining the character from their perspective. And they are afraid that if they pull off their support for the title, it will crash and burn and they will never have a Wonder Woman title again. That is not healthy for this industry. DC is firing off on all cylinders and giving us some of the best content in the history of the game, but they're still living in this archaic method of trying to say that, oh, if you don't support this at all, that means you don't want it, period. Stop playing that game. You have done the thing you needed to do. You got off your ass and did it. And to the community, to the fans, now it's our turn. The motherfucking minute that, matter of fact, I'm even gonna put it on screen. Y'all gonna hear it tonight because I just got it back from my graphic designer not even like a day ago. I want you to let everybody know we black up. This is what we're doing. This is phase 3. Phase 3 was always in the works from phase 2. When we started the boycott, that phase 3 was already in the conversation. I told people on live streams, I told people in conversations, this is phase 3. We are going to go hard. 15 copies, 20 copies, whatever the hell we have to do. And it won't just be in the number 1. It's going to be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We are going to make sure this book stays on shelves. We are going to make sure this is in people's pull boxes, because you are never going to tell me again. I will never hear again black books don't sell. I refuse to hear that from anybody's goddamn mouth, because Vixen is getting her first ongoing in 45 years ever existing as a character. What about the webtoon? What about the limited series? What about the one shot? Eat my ass. This is the first time that a black woman has ever had an ongoing at DC Comics, and we are going to sell it like gangbusters. We are like, I'm taking the Idris Elba meme that says, I want you to let everybody know we back up. And that's what we're doing. And it goes doubly so for the other title that was announced that we are going to go ahead and dig into. And dear God, I've been talking like a crazy person, and people probably think I'm nuts, and that's fine. That's fine. I don't care.
Well, listen, I do want to say something, DJ, real quick.
That's why we got to be nuts on a podcast. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Well, no, I wanted to say, you said no one can take credit, except the creators and everything, which, I agree with. I think overall it's more of the community, regardless of what form it took, wanting these characters, right? And I do think, I think you're being very, very great. It is the community. I think you're being a little too modest, because it's crazy to think that a switch flipping from 3 years to multiple announced in one day didn't have something to do with the community at large. Didn't have something to do with everyone who's been talking about it. Whether it's full credit, a little bit, any little piece of brick that you put on that building to make the sign noticed that we want these things, that's something that everyone contributed to. So,
that's fair. I hate the idea that like anyone tries to think that like we were the only thing that made this happen, because there's something to be said about. I want to give a specific shout out to Marquise Draper, one of the editors at DC Comics, because that man's been in the trenches for God knows how many years, fighting for black creators, fighting for marginalized creators, trying to get books to happen. And I will not let it be a thing not known that Marquise deserves all of his flowers for this. I want to give all the praise to Stephanie Williams for the fact that she had a 20-page pitch for 2 years sitting, waiting for a chance to write Vixen. And she made that happen. She went through the trenches writing things like Nubia and different things like that. Went through all the hustle, went and got nominated for Eisners at Ignition in IDW, not for her DC work, for Ignition work, and kicked ass and made that happen. That was one thing I even put in my article where I talked about the fact that she was the first Black woman to ever be nominated for a Best Writer, and like Comic Press didn't really pay attention to that. And even I said, I was like, look, I talked about it on my show, but I didn't write an article about it because like I thought maybe somebody else at the beat might have covered it, which is fine. But I still failed short of not pitching it, and I took full responsibility for that. But I will not let it be said that me and my team did all of it. There's no way on God's green earth. We don't deserve the credit for this. Like the creators deserve the credit for this. And now we as fans need to pull up, and that's what we gonna do. And especially when it comes to the third title, I want this to be known. There was only one other writer that I would have wanted on Static, and that was my boy Morgan Hampton. There was only one other writer that I would have said you could even think to put on Static. And Cody is the one that's going to appeal to the youth and get the ball rolling. But I'm glad that the longest running Black ongoing has returned, because Steel is the only Black character that has ever crossed 50 issues, because but in second place would be Firestorm Jason Rush at 42 issues, I think. But Steel has hit 50. Well, Steel hit 52 in an annual, and now Steel by Morgan Hampton is on the way, and I could not be happier. I think this is the greatest thing to possibly happen. Morgan deserves this. Morgan has been kicking ass when it comes to Green Lantern Corps. If you have not read Green Lantern Corps, it is phenomenal. Dude's been dropping Green Lantern, the animated series references in. Like, dude's been giving so much love to other Green Lanterns and kicking Hal Jordan's mayonnaise ass out. Like, there's been so much love given to other Lanterns and other Corps, and it's just phenomenal. And his work on the Dakota incident with the Dream Deferred references is just top tier. Like we previously interviewed him on the show, and he's just phenomenal. And I'm so excited. Like when he even made the reference at the convention, he said, "I'm taking my talents to Metropolis like he LeBron." I was like, "Let's go." I'm there day one, bro. I'm there. So like this is number 3, fellas. How we feel about number 3 of Black ongoings?
I'm feeling great. I'm feeling great. See, this was one of those ones that was like, you guys gave me my cake, you let me eat my cake, and then you guys just brought out like a humble like apple pie and was just like, here you guys go. You guys can have just a little bit more. We're sorry about like the 300 day, or we're sorry about the 1,300 days that are going to be coming up, but we're working on it. We're working on it. Like it really felt like they like were listening to their audience at this point and being like, we got you. And then like there's just something about a Black man with a hammer, because I've read Mosley, and then I've been going through and I've been reading this now, and I'm like, I just need this man to bring down the hammer on people, and I'm gonna be excited. I'm gonna be happy. I'm excited to see what he does with the family, because like they have so much lore to go with on this that Morgan Hampton is just gonna be able to have free range with so much stuff, because we haven't had him in publication for so long. And so it just means that he has so much wild activities that he's been up to. There's so much more he can get to in the future. Like this has got me so thrilled that like I was around work today being like, do you guys know who Steel is? Like the random one character that I know nobody knows about. Do you know who that is? You're about to, because you work with me.
No, I am also incredibly hyped about Steel. Steel has been one of those characters that, you know, like a lot of characters, I read vicariously through obviously Superman. And that was always a character that I fucking loved. I remember being younger and there was like a Superman one of those bad Superman video games that came out. It was called Man of Steel, but it was before that Man of Steel. And like partway through the game in a random cutscene, Steel just showed up. And I remember being like next to my brother and being like, "That's fucking Steel," and he was like, "Who's that?" And I remember being like, that fucking sucked. But I'm so hyped. I think that was the perfect metaphor for it, because Vixen, Static already hype, and this is just the sprinkles on top. You know, the extra thing that's like, I'm glad we're getting this. I'll be honest. Is Steel the first character that would have come to mind? No, not necessarily. Am I any less excited about Steel? Fuck no. Like that's so cool. And Steel is also just one of those characters where in my caveman brain, he just is so fucking cool. Like, he just looks cool. He's one of those, and we can all pretend that, like, every single reason we like superheroes are really deep, but sometimes they just look cool and they do cool shit. And he's one of those characters that I'm like, the silhouette is iconic. I feel like if you're a DC fan at all, you show that steel silhouette with that hammer, everybody. Well, I mean, I would think most people would know. I would know immediately, but I'm super hyped. I'm super hyped. Again, I'm more hyped for like the Static series, but this is one where I was like, fuck yeah, dude. I'm pulling up. I'm buying it, and I'm very excited that we're seeing a character like Steel be served something that I think he's going to excel in with a creative team that I think is going to knock it out of the park.
For sure. Then we also had, there was the Doom Patrol stills that were shown at the DC Next Level panel that I thought were super cool as well, because I think the last time we had a Doom Patrol book was like DC All In. It was Unstoppable Doom Patrol, and that was all right, but like it just didn't go like that far. And I'm excited to see the Doom Patrol come back, especially after the success of the TV show. This is a great time to get new fans invested, which I was a little caught off guard that it was a DC Next Level book, not a Vertigo book, because you would think if you're going to bring the Doom Patrol back in a way that would excite modern readers, you would have said, hey, yo, we're going to like put it in Vertigo. Granted, it looks as if they're going to be full balls of the wall, just do cool stuff with it, which I'm not mad at. But I'm also sitting here like, y'all had all this potential to put it elsewhere. Why wouldn't you put that in Vertigo? I'm sitting here like, you had a couple of options here and you chose the odd one. And they kind of went back to the OG crew that you got, like Robot Man, you have Negative Man, you have the Chief, and you have Elastigirl. So like they kind of went back to basics. But I'm also like, there's still more you can do with the basics. You can still do more with that and bring in new characters over time. So I'm excited to see what they do with that, but I want to know y'all's thoughts. Does it feel weird that we're going back to this idea that like Doom Patrol isn't Vertigo? Because I kind of miss the days when Grant Morrison was cooking in Vertigo with them. You know what I mean?
So I jumped onto them with the TV show and absolutely loved it. And then like I went through the ball roll of figuring out that this is where like Changeling comes from, and that's when like you get whole Beast Boy stuff and all that jazz. And I'm like, okay, this is really, really good stuff. I'm hoping that this is where DC kind of does that like towing the line thing to where they get like super dark, they get super graphic with some stuff, but they don't like take it all the way there, so that way they can still get like newer readers on board and stuff like that. That's kind of why I think they're not doing that Vertigo route, just because they're trying to hook on to the success of everything and try to make it as palpable for as big of an audience as possible. They don't want, I feel like that's probably why they don't want to hide it behind that Virgo title, is the way they think of it, because it's like less people know about Vertigo than they do the main ones, is probably their excuse, which at that point then for me would be like, that's why you throw it on Vertigo, so that way people are gonna like hop onto this and be like, oh, Doom Patrol, let me go check that out, and then you guys can go balls to the walls and you can go crazy. Like that would be what I would want to see. But if they're gonna give me a tame one, I just hope the writing's up to par. From what it looks like, the art style is gonna be super fun. I love the like variant covers for the stuff that you've been showing, and I'm like, you know what, this is definitely gonna be hitting the pull list.
Okay. Alex, your thoughts?
I'm kind of the mindset that when it comes to, because I'm also someone who was introduced to Doom Patrol through the show, right? I think that, and this is just my theory, a game theory, that I think a lot of this stuff that we are getting, even the Static stuff with Vixen and everything, I think, and I'm hoping honestly, and I'm saying this in a way where they're connected, but it doesn't make it less, because I think all of this is leading towards a brand synergy thing, and I genuinely think that James Gunn and the powers that be are going to push Static for a show or a movie in the future, and I think that Doom Patrol is already a property that people know, that people are excited about, and I think that is why we're getting it more in this way, that's more accessible for people, because in a year we're going to get the announcement of a TV show. I'm also of the mindset of, if it's written well, I don't mind. If it's not, the crazy shit that we're kind of used to seeing.
Okay, fair enough. one of the other books that was talked about more at the next level panel is Teen Titans, and there's a lot of folks that are throwing shade at my boy Jason Todd, and I need y'all need to back off. Hey, Alex, really? You ain't down with Jason Todd being in the Teen Titans? What's up with that?
I'm over Jason. Honestly, I'm not. There was a time where I was like, Jason Todd, great character, Red Hood, amazing, and I think we got too many. And I'm so sorry. I'm just gonna say it how it is in my head and not censor myself. I think we got too many hot topic teenagers that latched on to Jason Todd and really decided that they knew the character and didn't actually know the character. And then that pushed the way that he was written to be written to reflect how those people thought the character was, not what the character initially was. And I, every single day, well, I'm going to say this very carefully. I am very grateful that Red Hood was put in a position where that series that was coming out did not go through.
Really?
Because from the first issue, I remember it was a big thing. It got canceled the same day as it released. I don't know if y'all remember. The day it released
I own it,
was the day it got canceled because the writer said shit that was maybe not appropriate for the time.
Maybe later, but not like right then.
Exactly. Again, just so you know where I lie, that's totally fine. Wait 24 hours. But anyway, but that got canceled. I remember reading that first book, and I saw it go up on eBay, going crazy because everybody's like the canceled Red Hood book or whatever, and I was like, why are we freaking out about this? Anyway, that book made me feel, oh, they were just going to continue to write Jason in that fashion where it's not true to Jason originally, where it's true to the new interpretation to pander to the audience. And because of that, it has not given me confidence that DC is going to write Jason in a way that is, in my opinion, true to what Jason initially was. But that's just me.
So here's my thing with this. I am somebody who's read every iteration of Teen Titans, like since even like the OG first appearances of these characters. So I'm willing to give writers a lot of room for interpretation and experimentation. Like I remember the days when Ray Palmer was turned into a child and was leading the Teen Titans. Like, and it was just a random group of kids because it was the 90s and we were being hip and whatnot. Like, I remember the struggle bus that was Risk and Argent and Johto that turned into Hotspot and things like that. I've been here through the rigmarole. So I remember right before this run happened, there was Roy Harper as Arsenal leading a random ragtag group of people that even Impulse was on when he first came to the 21st century. Like, I've seen a lot of weird-ish from the Teen Titans. So I'm willing to give Kyle Higgins, especially a writer like Kyle Higgins. Like Kyle Higgins is someone that I'll throw a rope to and let him cook for a while. I'm looking at this cover and I see the son of Mr. Terrific, the son of Roy Hart, well, the daughter of Roy Harper and Cheshire, two new characters, teaming up with like Red Hood to be sort of like a dead mother, kind of like how Ray Palmer was in that run, and saying cook. And I'm like, I'll give you 6 issues. Fuck it up. Like, fuck it up, Kenneth. Like, as the old Vine meme. Like, fuck it up, Kenneth. Do your thing. Like, I'm willing to let you ride it out because my kids have been through worse. And by worse, I mean Scott Lobdell, New 52. So my kids have been through a lot worse, and I'm willing to let you play. And now, here's the thing with that run with the Red Hood situation. I agree. Old girl probably should have waited like 24 hours. I think that the issue 1 was probably gonna like lead into something cool. I think where my concern lies is it was probably just gonna be very like noir beatnik detective type shit, especially with Huntress being there, rather than being, like you said, what Jason Todd is meant to be, specifically because of the fact that she admitted in an interview that she had never read a Red Hood book ever in her life, let alone a Batman book. And I was like, how did you get this job? Like, I'm willing to let you cook, but how did you get this job if you know nothing about the character? Like, that's my concern. I don't give a fuck about what she said. I agree with what she said after 24 hours. Like, let shit die down a little bit. But I agree with what she said, and I don't think she should have been fired over it. But my concern would have been like if we got 6 issues down the road and the run would have been like, what is this? what am I looking at here? So I think this is a great chance for Jason to sort of like step into his own and be a dead mother of sorts to a ragtag group of people. The joke that Kyle Higgins made at the panel was that Fair Play, Mr. Terrific's son, started a Discord server for like young teen heroes, and that's how this group came together. And I'm like, okay. I don't know about that, but all right, sure. And I'm willing to let it cook. So we'll see what happens. I'm willing to let this one cook a little bit. The one, actually, B, how do you feel about this? I didn't let you speak. How do you feel
originally,
about this?
I was sitting there and I was thinking on this one to where I was like, these kids are going to have so much trauma put onto them. He's going to be talking about all of the horrible things that he had to go through of dealing with Batman. And those kids are just going to come out of it after 6 issues and be like, I think we're grown after dealing with him. Like all those villains we didn't need to deal with, but we trauma bond with him, and that's why we like him. Like that's how I thought this was gonna go. And then as I keep seeing the artwork and how much fun this is gonna be, I'm gonna be like, I might be a little bit nicer to Jason now. He might be getting a little more love with me. I'm on that 50-50 train. I'm for sure gonna stick it through 3 issues and see how it goes, and then may drop it from there. But right now, it's got me hyped. I'm more excited than anything, especially with how like the panels went and stuff like that. They really made me feel more excited about what's coming next for DC.
Plus a Sanford Green cover.
Exactly. Exactly. So yep.
Like the idea of, plus my really big theory too is it's gonna be like the big drop is gonna be that Fair Play is on the team to make sure that Jason don't do no fuck shit. That's what I think is gonna be the play, is that he's like, don't make me call my dad. I'll call my dad. Don't play with me. That's gonna be the play, is that Jason don't mind his business. It's gonna be like, I'll call my dad. Don't mess around. So that's why I think this run is in good hands. But I get your concern though, because like Jason Todd is a very problematic figure and has been through a lot of rough iterations. And I feel like that there is a lack of consensus on what Jason should be as a character.
I agree.
It's a mixed bag 100% for sure.
There.
I'm the next level book that I will cover is The Demon. The Demon is going to be phenomenal from what they showed off. I think this is going to be a lot of fun for people who are into the character. I'm not the biggest Jason Blood fan. I'm not the biggest Demon fan, but I wanted to make sure we highlighted this because James Herron is writing and drawing this, and it looks phenomenal. So fans of The Demon will definitely enjoy this. Now folks are gonna say, JP, why aren't you talking about Jonah Hex? And like I told my editor, I don't care about a Confederate soldier with a messed up face. So I don't give a fuck. And my editor was very understanding. So I'm not obligated to talk about that one. But fellas, if you value Jonah Hex, are you excited for the Jonah Hex book?
I don't have it on my pull list. I didn't even really care about it when they announced it. I thought he was really cool in the Batman animated series, and when they brought him in for like the little timeline stuff, and I was like, okay, that's cool. But for like vice versa on that though, I got excited for the Demon for that exact reason though, because I love that rhyme scheme stuff. I love what he does. I'm ready to jump onto this comic and just see what this character's all about. And I think this is a great like introduction, because I feel like DC teases the Demon and never really gives us him in like a proper form and manner. So I'm really hoping this is going to be one of those things that like he can get a good introduction to a good amount of people. But for Jonah, it's cool he's here, I guess. Welcome aboard. You know, just don't shoot nobody we like.
Right, like Michael Walsh is doing the art and writing it. And I'm like, Michael Walsh is phenomenal from Exquisite Corpses. So like at the bare minimum, people who are interested will get a good book, but I ain't gonna read it. Like, ain't for me.
Yeah, no, same with the Jonah Hex thing. I didn't care when those movies were a thing. I didn't care about any of that. Again,
you weren't down for Megan Fox. You weren't down for Megan Fox.
You know, I have never. That's a whole separate thing. I was never one of those guys that was just following whatever Megan Fox was doing. But you know, but no, the Jonah Hex thing again, exactly like we just brought up. I remember seeing him vicariously through the show, and I was like, oh, that's the guy from that one movie that I never watched. And you would think, like, for me, because like I am, my other nerdy thing that I'm super into is I like old Western books. I read old man Western books,
Fair.
and so like that like style, that kind of vibe, you would think would really hit me, and I would like it, but it's just never been something I've really cared about. So when I did see that, I was like, oh, okay.
Right.
I don't know. It was nothing. As far as Etrigan goes, that's something that I am kind of excited about seeing. But it's nothing that I'm like, I'm not as hype about that. That's more in interest, a curiosity than anything.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
So I gotta cut in here real quickly. Alex, have you read Dead Acres yet?
I have not.
I highly recommend it. Issue 1 just came out like a couple weeks ago. It's an old Western about a dude who's cursed and all that other fun jazz. Kind of seems like it might be in a D&D world, but more Western based and stuff like that. So highly recommend.
What's it called again?
Dead Acres.
Dead Acres. I'm going to be checking that out.
So, the next thing up on the docket is the Lanterns trailer. Fellas, how we feeling about the Lanterns trailer? I'm gonna let B go.
I loved it. I'm not even a huge Lanterns fan, and I went right to YouTube and started watching it as soon as it dropped. And oh my dear lord, the green in it was so good. The storytelling feels like it's so good. And I know a lot of like Lantern fans aren't going to be happy about like the whole cop genre being brought into this whole like aspect of how they're doing things, because that's not really how the comic books go for Lanterns. But I'm excited for it because I just love that whole detective based stuff that feels like we're getting our space cops here on Earth, and then they're teasing us some like bigger stuff that's going on with the Manhunters, and like, ooh, they got me hyped. They got me hyped. This was a great intro. I'm excited to get some Jon Stewart. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for some Jon Stewart. So that's my quick reaction to that.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you've seen any of my content, I have hated everything that they've been releasing for this Lantern show.
Really?
I've not been excited for it. I thought the first trailer looked like shit. I was like, I don't understand why we're pretending to do a Green Lantern thing if we're afraid to do Green Lantern stuff. Why are we doing this True Detective, Yellowstone-esque bullshit with Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart? What the fuck is going on here? And I'll be totally honest with you. This last trailer came out. I've done a complete 180. I'm also really hyped. I was like, okay, it's like somebody watched my video and went like, this is what he's bitching about. Let's fix it. And this new trailer addressed all those things. We got to see more of that spacefaring stuff that we want to see with the Green Lantern. And I feel like I say that and people think, oh, you want him on Oa immediately? You want him going? No, it's not that. But give me some of that stuff. Some of that again, extraterrestrial shit that the Lanterns as a property are known for. And we got some of that. We got more constructs. I was a big hater of that color palette in the first trailer, and then they kept it for this trailer, and I was already like, this looks like shit. And then we got the constructs, and something clicked in my brain where I was like, oh my god, everything looks like that. So the constructs juxtaposed against everything else look so otherworldly in a good way. They stand out. They are giving us something to look at that shows you, hey, it fits into the world, but clearly this is not of Earth. And I loved it. So 100%, I've done a total 180. I'm sure I'll get called a LARPer by some people that follow me, but now I'm hyped. Now I'm excited. I've completely switched sides. Give it to me. I'm super excited for it. And the suit looks much better in this trailer for the second we got it.
That hummingbird that they brought up when they were doing the constructs and everything, that's what pulled me into this. Like the small little details that they pull into this whole like trailer is really what got me hyped for it. Like I'm not a Lanterns fan. I love Absolute Green Lantern. That's been an absolute banger of a story for me. But I'm not a Lantern fan. I don't go and buy the rings. I didn't really like the Green Lantern movie that came out. Well, I don't think anybody really did. But like, there's a fan base there for it, And I'm not one of those people, and it got me excited. This is what the trailer should do, is get you wanting to watch these shows. Because like, I didn't think I was going to be this excited for the Lanterns trailer, bro. Like, I really didn't.
Yeah. So
100%. I also am worried that Hal Jordan's going to bite it really quickly in the show, because there was a clip that was going out and somebody pointed it out and I was like, oh shit, where they're all saying the lantern speech or thing, whatever the
The
fuck that
oath,
word is, I
yeah.
can't think of right now. But they're saying the lanterns thing, and our what's his name again? The actor, what's Chandler or whatever.
Hal Jordan?
Um, yeah, what's the actor's name? I can't remember it, but he doesn't know it. Like they're all three saying it. And he's the only one that's like flubbing
Oh
it,
yeah,
and I'm
Kyle
like, oh
Chandler. Yeah,
no,
Kyle
he was.
Chandler.
There you go. I was like, he wasn't there long enough.
So, okay. There was a lot of people that were throwing a bitch fit about that after the convention. And I'm like, look, dog, like they probably did so many episodes. They didn't grill this man on know that line every 5 seconds. You can tell Aaron Pierre is excited. You can tell Aaron Pierre is a fan. There's a difference in the quality there. And maybe Kyle Chandler's just not a fan. Maybe this is just another job for him. That's fine. Um, I find it, but like Nathan Fillion is a fan. Nathan Fillion, ironically enough, has played not only Guy Gardner in live action, but he's played Hal Jordan in multiple other projects. So he's sitting here not only as from the perspective of someone who has been Hal Jordan, but also as Guy Gardner, who already knows the oath. Aaron Pierre knows the oath, and then like Kyle Chandler, it might not be his thing. I don't know about y'all, but I, for one, am excited for season 5 of Ben 10 Alien Force. That's what I'm gonna say. That's what this show feels like to me. Like, granted, do I like seeing a little bit more green than we saw previously? Sure, but this feels like this should have been the setting that was for Supergirl. Where if you wanted a grounded, low CGI budget, like very toned down, but you still see alien life type ish going on, and you would like this could have just been on an alien planet, rough ride. They lost like they're out of juice in the core in the Lantern Corps, and they can't do a whole lot. But they're still training. You still could have given me a really good, compelling show without just being like they're in Arizona. Tell a story. Like, am I going to watch it? Sure. But this just feels like Ben 10 Alien Force. This feels like you're giving me random alien nonsense in the desert, tell a cool story with a bunch of random people in a desert town. And I'm grateful they've done more with the constructs and the flight and whatnot. I'm still like, I know there's a lot of people who were saying like, oh, well, he doesn't have the green around him because Guy didn't have it in the Superman movie. I was bitching about that back to the Superman movie. That Guy should have had the green glow around him too. But I'm hopeful. I'm excited, but I'm also sitting here like, this looks like Ben 10 Alien Force. That's all this is. Like, it feels like there's going to be DNA aliens abducting people and that the hybrids going to come down. That's what it feels like. And I said this as someone who is a loyal, not loyal, dear God, loyal Green Lantern fan. Now, I will say, there was a leaked rumor that ended up being untrue because I called a source and found out it wasn't true, that Hal Jordan bites the dust in the first episode. Thankfully, that might not be true, but like as Alex pointed out, maybe Kyle wasn't there that long. But
it's going to be episode 2. That's what it's going to be.
It's going to be episode 2, minute 2.
That he bites the dust pretty early, I'm going to be skipping around the living room, having a good old time because I hate Hal Jordan. Hal Jordan is a bitch. Hal Jordan is the most bland jar of mayonnaise on the planet. And everyone's always like, well, Hal Jordan did this and the Sinestro Corps War and Black is Night and Man. I'm like, hey, why all that's so frustrating is because it never should have happened. Jeff Johns wanted to play with the toys from when he was a little kid and brought back Hal Jordan because sales were low for Kyle Rayner. And rather than them just telling a good story with Kyle Rayner and doing all that fun stuff with the Core Wars and stuff like that with Kyle Rayner, they said, let's bring back Hal Jordan. And it was stupid. And before the Silver Age Hal Jordan stuff was boring. It was bland. It was basic. If you're from that era, you think it was cool because you think that writing is compelling because Hal Jordan is a white man down on his luck and yada yada. But I can tell you there are better Silver Age stories besides Hal Jordan. And I think there are more compelling Lanterns than Hal Jordan. And I've made this case plenty of times, and Hal Jordan fans get all butthurt, but it's like, bro, anything that you can do with Hal Jordan, John can do, Kyle can do, hell, Guy Gardner can do, Jessica Cruz can do, Simon Bass can do, Kilowall can do, Chip can do. I don't need Hal Jordan here. He didn't need to come back to life. And people will bitch and moan and say, oh, well, Parallax was a bad death for him and yada yada. I'm like, no, Parallax was genius. In fact, one of my favorite portrayals of Hal Jordan was done by Nolan North in the movie Green Lantern Beware My Power, because whoever wrote that script had the most genius idea, because Jeff Johns tried to retcon Parallax and say, oh, it was the demon entity thing that made him be evil. The yellow entity made him evil and yada yada. So that makes Hal Jordan still a good guy, right? And the writer of that script said, no, Hal Jordan was always a bitter white man who hated all you motherfuckers and wanted to get even. He just didn't have the power to get even. So the Parallax entity just unlocked his potential. And I was like, bravo. Bravo. You fixed you retconned the retcon in the best way possible, and you made it the perfect way. And I thought it was chef's kiss. And if I worked for DC, I'd make it canon, because I don't give a fuck. Is that harsh of me, fellas? Please, hit me. If I'm
I don't think it's harsh at all. I don't think it's harsh at all. The only thing that makes me you got me more excited about this comparing it to Ben 10, because I've been really enjoying the comic books right now. So I'm like, you know what? I can't even be mad about that. I enjoy the Ben 10 comic books. This is just going to be right down my alley then.
There you go. See, there you go. Okay.
No, fair. You don't like Hal Jordan, that's fine. The rest of us will be enjoying Lantern. No, I'm kidding.
I mean, I'm still gonna watch it. I'm there for John. I'm a John fan.
No, dude, same, 100%. John was my Green Lantern growing up, and that's the one that I'm looking forward to. Hal Jordan just feels like, the thing you got to do. It's the pill you got to swallow to get to the feeling good after.
Exactly. See, you get it. All right. So let's talk about Marvel, kids, because the only thing noteworthy from Marvel in terms of comic books at the convention was more information about Midnight, more variant covers talking about how the X-Men are going to be vampires, and that Midnight Spider-Man's going to have this weird spider crawling out of his body, and the Fantastic Four are going to be on some crazy-ish. And I really wish I cared. I really wish I cared. Like, it looks cool, but it's probably not going to get my money. Like, it's genuinely not going to get my money, because I'm sitting here going like even the origin of it was like Buckley said the concept began earlier this year as a push to create stories with a horror in the front seat. And I'm sitting here like, did you need to make a horror X-Men book? Did you need to make a horror Fantastic Four book? Did you need to make a horror Spider-Man book? What about Blade? What about like Moon Knight? What about freaking Elsa Bloodstone? Midnight should have been your gateway to giving us like Marvel Max versions of all the like Midnight Suns characters. Like, it would have been a great, or like an absolute like Midnight Suns series where you have like a Blade book and a Ghost Rider book, etc., etc. Like introducing a new generation of fans to Blade and Ghost Rider before you get ready for the potential of what we're going to talk about a little bit. And I'm sitting here just going, who asked for this? I like this one, the very rare times will I'll ever say that. Who asked for this? And if my panel of nice, good looking men here are excited about this, by all means speak up. But I just, it's not hitting for me.
I'm not excited for it. Like, so I'm not the biggest Marvel fanboy, so I'm trying to like jump on and find more Marvel stuff. And so the thing that I decided was like, okay, I'm gonna try to give one of these things a shot, and I decided it's gonna be Fantastic Four, because I've been enjoying more of the Fantastic Four stuff. But like, Blade would have been a good one. Dr. Voodoo would have been a good one. Moon Knight would have been a good one, like he was saying. Like, there's so many characters to where, like, I feel like I would have been, like, pulled into this world more because I love the horror. I have the whole Roots of Madness stuff that's going on in my like repertoire, you know? So like the horror is right down my alley, but there's just something that's like the Spider-Man and the Fantastic Four and the X-Men of it all feels like it's bare minimum. It feels like they're just like, well, let's just throw the most popular things at it and then see if it happens to stick or not, and then we'll go from there. Which versus you could have opened the world up so much. You could have
Ooh.
introduced me as somebody who is new into Marvel at this point to be like, oh, what is Moon Knight about? I've only read maybe one of his trade paperbacks. I want to know a little bit more about him. Oh, who's this Doctor Voodoo dude? He seems like he's going to do real well in a horror setting. Like all of that would have been so much better than, I hate to say it, twisting up the X-Men to make them vampires feels a little like a huge stretch there. A huge stretch there.
Alex, your thoughts?
Yeah, I would say for me, as far as the, because I get asked all the time, are you gonna pick up the midnight books, whatever? And like I'm probably, I mean, same thing. I'll probably read number one of each one, see if any of them catches me. I'm no longer doing this thing where I used to be like, I'll give a book a full 6 issues before I decide if I'm gonna keep reading it. I'm not doing that anymore. I cannot. Like, I'm not gonna, and that's one of the reasons I'm not liking the absolute Green Arrow thing. So I'm like, you've had this many books, catch me already, because you haven't done it. um but I think that there, like you said, there are other characters to do this, and it's just the Spider-Mans, the X-Men and stuff. Like Venom would have been great for this if you want a Spider-Man adjacent thing. Like Venom can lend himself to horror very well. The Fantastic Four is an interesting one, and I'll be honest, I haven't like read into what I guess if there's any other information on what exactly that's going to lean into, because in my head, Fantastic Four, I go body horror immediately, and if that's not what we're getting, what is the point of doing the Fantastic Four?
Yeah.
And there's just so many other characters that lend themselves to those types of stories. I'll be honest, the Blades and the Ghost Rider, for me, I almost would have been like, no, because that's typical, right? Like they already kind of lean into those worlds. I feel like there were other characters that are right there that you can push over the edge, and we didn't even try to find them. Again, it's just the popular characters. Like I am a little shocked that it wasn't some bullshit like Absolute Iron Man or Absolute, sorry, Midnight Iron Man or some shit. Where it's just or Midnight Doom, whatever the hell, for brand synergy bullshit. I don't know. I am going to check them out because I'm curious, but nothing about this screams like this was something that, because even the way that they keep bringing it up, nothing about it screams this is a story that had to be told. This is a project that we're so passionate about. It feels like somebody let out a mandate that we're going to make some horror books. Y'all got to pick one and do it. Like that's, to me, that's what this reads as.
Yeah, like it feels like that meme from Mean Girls, where it's like, stop trying to make fetch happen. Like
Yeah,
it's
100%.
not really hitting the way I'm wanting it to, and I'm just kind of like, what are you doing? It feels very odd. Now let's get into the Hall H from Marvel, folks. So let me get let me be positive before I'm negative here. Let me be positive before I be negative. Ryan Gosling is Ghost Rider, y'all. Like, yay, this is dope. This is cool. This is the casting everyone wanted besides old dude from Walking Dead. This is the casting everyone thought. Johnny Blaze personified. Everyone got what they wanted. This is kind of like that. Like, it'd be funny if like he's only here for like one movie, like in Doomsday, like kind of like how they did old dude who played Mr. Fantastic. That would have been hilarious. But like you get him, cool. This is awesome. But like we're already starting off on a rough note with a couple different things. But let's start off with the basics, folks. Are you excited for the Spirit of Vengeance to get his own movie in 2028?
This was one of those ones that kind of came out of nowhere for me, and I was like, cool. I mean, like, thanks, I guess. He's a character I know about. I know that there is a fan base for him at the end of the day, but me personally, I felt like there could have been more characters who are well deserving. You've already introduced so many other people who could get a movie that would tie in a little bit better, instead of it being a here's a new character that we're going to shoehorn into the Marvel universe just so that way you guys can understand, like, here's the placement of how things go, which could be really good, could be really bad, but at the same time, like, I want my Iron Hearts. I want to be seeing some more Young Avengers stuff. There were so many other things that they had set up that was like, I think could have really had some good storylines that they're now going to have to tie into Doomsday and Secret Wars and all of this other stuff that almost feels like it's going to be like a side story that we're probably not going to get deep dives into for like another 10 years.
Okay. Alex, how you feeling?
I am hyped for this personally. You know, I am of the mindset that it does suck a little bit, that because I was going in here shooting for the moon. I wanted to hear more of where do we have, you know, Iman Vellani in her Miss Marvel stuff, right? Where do we have Sam Wilson going forward? And there's all, and I'm just gonna say it. It's crazy that we have a lot of other characters, the Monica Rambos in the universe, that we don't know what's gonna go on with them. But we're getting a Ghost Rider thing announced. That already is kind of like, you gave us a bunch of these other characters. What are these guys doing? But taking it for what it is, not complaining about what we didn't get, talking about what we did get. I am excited about this new Ghost Rider thing. For nothing, I mean, Ryan Gosling, that's cool. It's a casting that everyone's been asking for. It's a casting everyone's been putting on their, you know, their dream castings for Ghost Rider, which I don't get it. I think everyone saw a photo of Ryan Gosling on a motorcycle and decided that's all it took to cast him. But, you know, with that being said, I'm more excited. And it's funny because I think most people don't like what I'm about to talk about. I'm excited about the director, Sean Levy, or Levy, however the hell you say it. But I don't think Deadpool and Wolverine was great, but my man gave us Real Steel. One of the most underrated gems in film, and I'm excited for him to bring that level of heart, that level of action to something like a Ghost Rider. So that's personally what I'm more excited about. I'm excited about the project.
Fair enough. I mean, brother looks like Ghost Rider. Like, he looks like Johnny Blaze personified. I did enjoy the memes of people saying Shang-Chi and Ghost Rider are gonna distract Doom with their hips, and I was like, you know, that's a funny Barbie reference you made there. In regards to
can I say something real quick?
Yeah, go for it.
Can you pull up, because you got the images there? Can you pull up Ghost Rider Danny Ketch?
Ooh, okay.
So here's another thing that I was talking with some folks about when it comes to it. Look at the logo for Danny Ketch's Ghost Rider.
It's very Danny Ketch inspired. Yeah, I get what
you're
saying.
Yes, and you know, I'm hoping, and I personally would like that. You know, if we got another Ghost Rider in that world, doesn't have to be Johnny Blaze.
We've gotten Johnny, we've gotten friggin' Robbie Reyes. So like Danny is the one we haven't seen yet. So like
exactly, because technically, I know they've retroactively said Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. isn't canon, but if we decide that it is canon, both Johnny and Robbie are in that one already.
Which I don't understand that. I don't understand why Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. can't be canon. Like, everything lined up for a long time. That doesn't make any sense to me, but whatever. I wouldn't be mad at that. I think it would be a weird miss to not just let it be Johnny, because brother looks like Johnny personified. But like, if they make his hair black and make him Danny, I ain't gonna bitch too much. But I think it'd be kind of funny if they retroactively just went old dude from Walking Dead was his brother Danny. That'd be kind of funny. Like, all right. But like, I think
I'd love that. That'd be a fun little twist right there.
Right, like that'd be a fun little way to get, like, have your cake and eat it too. Get both Ghost Riders like up in the cut. The one thing that really had a lot of people talking about this, and I'm glad you brought it up, is the fact that Sean Levy, whatever, was announced to be the director. And I know there was a lot of talk about him being a Zionist in that degree. I know there was a lot of conversation about that. How do I say this? Disney's gonna Disney. Well, like we've already learned when it comes to things like Sam Wilson, Captain America, that Disney's gonna Disney, And like you said, like people went and saw Deadpool and Wolverine and didn't know that he directed it. So like that is always going to be a tricky slope when like dealing with this corporation. The genocide is inexcusable, and I like do not condone the nonsense that he supports. But that is the double-edged sword of supporting a multi-billion-dollar corporation that deals with this nonsense. So I would encourage folks that if you feel passionately about this, for sure, don't support it. Like same thing, like when I told people when it comes to Captain America: Brave New World, if you feel compelled not to see it, very much do so. But Sam is my favorite character of all time. I'm gonna go see that. I took that hit for that. I called it the fact that there was a genocide going on, but I still went and saw it because I thought it was very unquestionable that they straight up were like, hey, not only are we gonna allow the racist bash this movie, but we are going to sabotage it even more by putting an Israeli-based character that has no relation to Sam whatsoever in this movie. And it caused so much backlash that it damaged the movie in its entirety. And that was something that was messed up. And I definitely was like, I'm not about to just leave my man out there and not go support him. And it was funny too, because when people wanted to have a conversation with me on TikTok Live about the boycott, I straight up stood 10 toes down. I'm like, you're right. I did cross picket lines to go see Sam Wilson. And I admit to that. I'm not going to like say, I'm not going to run from it. I'm not going to say I was wrong. Well, I will say that I was wrong to do it, but I still did it because it was important to me. And I'm not going to bash people who want to go support DC for like during the boycott. Go do it. Fine. I don't give a fuck. I'm telling you what I'm doing. And I'm still going to be fully transparent that the genocide is bullshit and the things that Israel is doing is nonsensical, and Netanyahu needs to answer for his crimes. But at the end of the day, this is a multi-billion-dollar company. If you want to support it, do it. If you don't want to support it, don't do it. And that's my thoughts on that when it comes to Sean Levy. This is a very divisive podcast. Go for it.
Yeah, no, I do want to say, one, thank you for bringing that up. I did not know that about Sean Levy. So that gives me something to go look at and research myself so I can make sure that where my morals are aligned with what I'm supporting. So one, thank you very much for that.
I appreciate you bringing that up, because like when I was looking through this guy's repertoire, that was basically like, okay, I've enjoyed this guy's movies. I know this movie's going to be good. And then I stopped it basically at there because it's a big corporation. I don't need to look into every single person that's going to be working on these things for me, just because I know that I can find somebody I don't like working on something up there.
Right.
That's the issue that I have.
Yeah. You know, it's very much a double-edged sword, because like we know Disney's gonna Disney, so like anyone who's gonna be a part of this already kind of like knows what's up. So it's just you have to make a choice when it comes to your moral standpoint on if you want to box with that, and that's just where that's gonna be. And I know I think I lost like damn near like 10 people in the live when I said that, and I'm like, I'm just being transparent. Like, fuck the genocide, but like it's Disney. Disney's gonna Disney. Like, and that's a fact. That's not like anything wrong there. Genocide bad, but Disney's gonna Disney, and like there ain't nothing really we can do about that. From there, I'm not really worried about this. Like,
no.
Endgame thing was fun and cool, and apparently Deadpool might be like in Doomsday. That'll be cool, I guess. Like they're hinting that he might be in it, and I'm just like, all right, cool. So it's like
stunt was pretty fun, you know. I thought that was a really interesting thing, but like at the end of the day, it feels more of like less of an Avengers movie and more of like, here's our Marvel sandbox movie at this point. Which, don't get me wrong, like as a person who loves the Marvel universe, give me all the Marvel stuff, you know. I love seeing all these characters interact, but at the same time though, I don't want to Spider-Man 3 this movie and it feel like there's so much that's going on in it that there might be something that falls to the wayside that fans feel like are extremely important. But all of it looked fun. The announcements were fun, just not thrilling.
For sure. It's just
no, I agree 100%. This is definitely their Marvel Ultimate Alliance movie, but the Avengers moniker is more known, you know.
Very much so. Yes, that's very much how it feels. It feels like a giant mosh pit of random Marvel superheroes, and it's just like, all right, I guess. All right, let's talk about it because people are gonna want to talk about it. Black Panther 3 is coming. And they announced this, and the internet caught fire. It was like, oh my God, this is awesome, but oh my God, what are you doing? It was such a mixed conversation, a mixed bag. And let's start off with the positives. Yay, Black Panther 3. Yay, cool. They announced that it's coming in 2028. They announced that um David Johnson of The Long Walk and Alien Romulus fame is going to be the new Black Panther. However, he is going to be portraying Toussaint, aka T'Challa Jr., and it's going to be some timey-wimey shenanigans where he is older now from Black Panther 2, and he will now be the new Black Panther. And yay for him. This is a dope thing. Good for him that he gets to be in this role. I think there was a lot of people that were really hoping they were just going to say he's T'Challa now, not T'Challa Jr. And there was a lot of people that were upsetty spaghetti online. And this is complicated because the recast T'Challa motherfucker is going to come from my throat. Here, in the words of Benny the Comic Storian, I care about a good story. And it doesn't matter what's going to be a part of this. It doesn't matter what's going on. I'm definitely once we get through the DC So White stuff and pushing for these titles and whatnot, my focus is going to be switching over to the Black Panther Marvel situation. So that'll definitely be my next giant adventure. But when it comes to this specifically, I'm sitting here going, and I made a post about it on Twitter last night. I was like, how hard would it have been for you to just go, you know what, after Secret Wars, poof, Wakanda's back to the way it was. David Robinson is T'Challa. Everything's back to normal. Timey-wimey multiverse shenanigans, incursions, poof. He's T'Challa now. Don't worry about it. Like you could even have cast a younger Shuri to keep Shuri in play for a little bit longer. Like you could have just reset the whole board and leave some things here, some things there. Sam can still be Captain America. Some things just like all different Marvel was back in 2015. Like some things got swapped, some things got reset, some things rebalanced and reshifted, and Fantastic Four got erased from the fucking timeline. Like we did it back then, cool. And they didn't do that. And I think that's something they could have did, but I feel like there's going to be a lot of people. Casual fans are going to eat this up. Casual fans are going to have a time of their life with this. It's going to be like well supported. Casual fans are going to eat this up. However, diehard comic book fans, diehard Black Panther fans are going to be detesting this movie. They're going to be trying to boycott this movie. And it's going to be a bad look that despite the past, 3, 4, 5 years of people going #recast T'Challa, and y'all didn't listen to that, you just said, well, we did recast T'Challa, it's not the one you wanted. It's looking like a bad look. And I'm going to go see it. But I think a lot of people are going to be really upset about this. And I'm going to talk about my one fear with this, but I want to get y'all's thoughts on this. But I want to get y'all's thoughts on this because I'm like, this is complicated.
Starting off with Ryan Coogler coming back for directing for number 3, I'm excited for that at least. I know that this dude's going to pull out all the chops. He's going to try to make this as cohesive as a story as he possibly can and try to get everybody to do the best that they can possibly do when it comes down to acting. So I know in that boat that it's going to be good. It concerns me because I wanted to see a little bit more Shuri, especially with how they set everything up. I was like, okay, make her Black Panther 3 for the third one, and then we can do all that timey-wimey stuff, recast T'Challa, and then we're good to go. And now I just kind of feel like the kid in the second movie got screwed over because if they just waited 3 or 4 more years, he could have just been casted as the son of T'Challa, and it would have worked out perfectly. But Marvel didn't want to wait. They wanted to speed roll it and get another Black Panther for some reason. And it infuriates me because it feels like we don't get to sit with an actor to portray this character like people got to when it comes down to Thor, or when it comes down to Iron Man, or when it comes down to the original three that started this like whole ball rolling, people like to say. And if they would have just at least given him a couple of movies to do what they needed to do. I understand for the first one we had a passing away, but the second one, she could have done her chops. The second one was a really good movie, especially when people actually go and sit down and read the movie and not listen to all the hate that goes around online. I have a lot of people who enjoy the movie. It's not the top-rated Marvel movie, but it got a better scaling than what it did opening weekend. Mm-hmm. And so it infuriates me that we got the recast, not even a recast, but future cast, timey-wimey stuff, and it feels icky again. It's just one of those icky moves that are like, we don't know what we're doing with this character. We're just throwing stuff at the wall and see if it sticks.
Alex, your thoughts?
So I want to start with saying I had a really hot take for a long time about Wakanda Forever. And it comes into this. My hot take about Wakanda Forever is this was the take, was I thought that they should have delayed that film and recasted T'Challa and given people enough time to properly deal with the passing of Chadwick. And I fully believed that with all of my Moonusy for as long as I could. And it really took a lot of reflecting when I started watching a lot of the interviews with Ryan Coogler and the rest of the cast of those first two Black Panther films. And there was a part of me where I was like, you know what? That's probably the best thing, was passing along the torch, because to Shuri, and I would have loved to see more of Shuri, but two things. One, as much as we're like, for the story, we want another T'Challa, recast T'Challa. These are all people that knew Chadwick very intimately. And, he was the face of that movement for a lot of young men and women who finally got a superhero on screen that they could see themselves in. So for me, after kind of reflecting on that and thinking about that more, I was like, you know what? Maybe that is the best thing, because it's not just the story of, the movie that's going to make millions of dollars. It's not just about that. It's also about these people that lived and breathed it, and maybe behind the scenes saw Chadwick, kind of slowly going. And Chadwick did a bunch of other great stuff. He paid for another young lady's cancer treatment while he was dealing with his stuff. And he's a superhero in his own right. Sure. That's always the thing everyone's going to talk about. So personally, when we get into Black Panther 3 and we are going to do timey-wimey bullshit to justify this new T'Challa the Second, I'm a little more okay with it. And like you said, I know the general audience is going to be more like, oh, this is great. And I, for the longest time, was like, no, we should have recasted T'Challa. And I think now I'm in the mindset of, you know what? I think out of respect for what that first movie meant and what Chadwick did for the other films, this makes a lot of sense to me. We can still have our T'Challa by name, and we're going to do that comic booky bullshit where we're going to have to explain why it's not T'Challa proper.
I'm glad you just said that. I'm glad you just said that. I'm glad, and I'm going to reference something you said earlier. Here's my biggest fear.
Oh, sorry, guys.
Oh no! Like, here's my biggest fear that I want to because I'll admit, we're getting Shuri for Doomsday and Secret Wars. Like, Shuri's gonna give her a ton of shine, but Shuri was always a transitional Black Panther to begin with. They brought her in for a little bit when T'Challa dipped for a little bit during the freaking Reggie Hudlin run, and then the T'Challa came back. But here's my biggest fear: it has been 2 years since we've had a Black Panther ongoing series. I am very afraid that because of Toussaint being this new young man, they are going to, because here's the thing that no one really talks about is Nakia as a character. What's the very beautiful young lady's name? Lupita Nyong'o. She is a character that is from the Christopher Priest run, who later became a villain and then died. She is not here. She is not around. She's not focused. She's never been brought back. She's dead. She dead. So like she's Uncle Ben levels of dead. Like, we ain't focused on her in over 20 some years. So her being in the picture in this major capacity when it comes to the Black Panther mythos in the MCU is interesting to me and has been for a long time. Her and M'Baku have bugged me for a long time because of that. And they even tried to like introduce a new Nakia and M'Baku in the intergalactic kingdom of Wakanda. And that was I saw the writing on the wall, what they were doing with that. My biggest fear with this entire situation is in the next a year and a half, 2 years, T'Challa is going to die in the comics. And then they're going to be like, Tucson randomly was just alive in the intergalactic world of Wakanda this entire time. And T'Challa didn't know. He cheated on Storm and had a child with Nakia, and nobody knew. And he's going, because during Coates' run, he was dreaming of Storm. He was trying to get back to Storm. But then, like, they introduced this new Nakia and M'Baku. That way they could have their cake and eat it too, where M'Baku is problematic in the comics and Nakia is dead, so we're going to make our cake and eat it too. So I'm sitting here like, I'm really afraid of what they're going to do. Because we already live in a world where a lot of fans are clamoring for a Black Panther ongoing. They're not getting it. And you're introducing his child, rather introducing a new T'Challa Prime. That's concerning. And I would like your thoughts, B, because I'm sitting here like, this could be really good. This could be really bad. But I'm given Marvel's track record with synergistic stuff as of late. I'm wondering if this is going to be a really bad look.
Honestly, it's one of those things to where, because of the synergy that they have, it's going to be something that feels like it comes too late for me, to where they're going to be like, here's our Black Panther, let's just say the movie's a hit and everybody absolutely loves it for some reason. They're not going to publicize on it because for some reason they're not going to put an issue out for another 6 months, because for some reason they got to take another 6 months to put out a comic to follow up some storylines for the TV shows. But then vice versa, if this movie's a flop, then they're just going to look at that and be like, see, nobody wanted Black Panther. Nobody really ever wanted to like go and get it in comic book form. And then we're going to have to do the DC clock over again, except for Marvel when it comes down to Black Panther. And that shouldn't be something that's needed, because proof is in the pudding that the first movie made money. The second one, even during COVID, still was popular. There's still proof in the pudding that this character can make waves and move mountains. They just need to allow proper writers to come in for it and to not rush it, which almost feels like that's kind of what Marvel's been doing the past few years, just trying to rush some projects and get things out. And then I'm glad that they've slowed down and started doing the 2-movie thing. But there's this cohesion that we're all still waiting for from the Marvel universe, and it doesn't feel like they've given us that yet.
Right. So like, hopefully this doesn't end up being something that is super problematic, but I'm genuinely kind of sitting here worried that they're going to be like, hey guys, Tucson's in the comics. And I'm going to be like, don't do that. Please, God, don't do that, because then we're never going to have peace.
That isn't going to be needed either. Like, if you guys need synergy, make it an Elseworld story like DC does or something like that, you know? True. But, like, you guys can't keep this in the main line kind of thing. There's some stuff that fans are going to riot over, and I definitely feel like, you know, that's a riot-worthy thing.
Alex, do you have any thoughts on the idea they could just throw Tucson into the comics?
No, and I'm sorry, I had to step away. Baby Moon bit it in the other room. I think honestly that is something. The moment you brought it up, I was like, that is heavily likely. You know, I think unfortunately that's just, you know, Marvel is going to. I mean, we saw it when they did that mini for Sam Wilson during Brave New Worlds, where all of a sudden we're getting a mini series where they have to pit him up against a Red Hulk.
And it wasn't unfortunately even the real Red Hulk, it was another one.
Exactly. I was about to say, and Ross Red Hulk was not available, so they give him, you know, second Red Hulk, you know, just for the sake of the cover, right? I am almost shocked that they didn't give him the old shield all of a sudden just so it could look like the movie. You know, I would have hated that. I'm glad they didn't do that, but I am almost shocked they didn't do that with how shameless the synergy was. I think it is likely that we'll see that. But I mean, again, it's Marvel Comics, so it's either going to happen and be undone in a year, or it's going to be a mini series and then the toys will be put back how they were after. You know, I hope it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
It just seems very likely that that will happen with the way Marvel typically does their stuff.
Right. So we'll see. I'm very concerned, and I know a lot of folks on Twitter are very upset. A lot of Black Panther fans are very upset. So like someone even reached out to me and said that Coogler is a bane on Black Panther's legacy, and I was like, damn, that's a statement. That that's a that's a statement right there. Like I don't necessarily agree with it, but like damn, like y'all like that. So it definitely shows that a lot of devoted Black Panther fans are very upset by this, and I hope that Marvel pays attention because it's looking rough out here in these streets. But let's do an autopsy, children, because I am concerned. Oh, actually, look at our boy. Look at the boy looking great. He did have a really cool comment thing that he made because someone asked him about what everything means to him, and I thought it was so great the way he put that. So shout out for Anthony Mackie for putting that greatly. Um, Also, someone tried to tell me that Haley Atwell's coming back as Peggy Carter. I was like, send it back. Send it back. I don't want her anywhere near this movie. But let's do an autopsy here because Marvel's not looking great, y'all. Marvel's looking real rough at the moment when it comes to both cinematically and comic book wise. Marvel as a studio is looking real rough when it comes to everything. And I don't know if we are like DC is firing on all cylinders at the very least from the comic aspect. The movies not so much, but like at the very least we can say neither studio is doing great cinematic wise. Everyone's kind of like coasting, not really doing nothing really innovative. But when it comes to the comics especially, Marvel just has nobody driving the bus. And like everyone's kind of like putting all their eggs in the basket of Chip Zdarsky and letting Chip Zdarsky finish this Avengers Armageddon event and do something new with the Avengers, and then they're doing a new X-Men book they announced. And I'm just kind of sitting here like, what are we doing? Like they announced Midnight. There was the announcement of a new X-Men book, led by Storm. But overall, Marvel as a comic publisher, especially now that they're entering a new season with a new editor in chief, because CB Cebulski is moving to Japan to head up the Marvel manga department, which is so funny for so many reasons. But for those who don't know, CB Cebulski used to write Japanese Marvel comics under a Japanese pen name, Akira Yoshida. And when everyone found out this, when he became editor in chief, it was really funny. And then now that he's moving to Japan, it's even funnier. And now we're in this situation where we have quite literally a really good choice for the new editor in chief. I gotta find the piece because I was looking at it earlier, but we have a new editor in chief in I forget his damn name. It's driving me nuts. But Steve Wacker. Yeah, Steve Wacker is the new editor in chief over at Marvel, and he's done a lot of good editorial work when it comes to things like Matt Fraction's Hawkeye and things of that nature. So this is a time where we could see growth for Marvel, but at least in the interim 6 months to a year, Marvel's looking very rough. Whereas DC's like absolute Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. Flash is bringing in absolute Cyborg and the Teen Titans. Like freaking Dark Side versus the DC universe here soon. 3 new Black ongoings where Marvel only has Miles next month. Like there's all this innovative stuff that DC's firing on all cylinders, and Marvel's just kind of sitting there like, do something, bro. Like I feel like there needs to be an autopsy here because it feels like no one's driving the bus and everyone's kind of looking at Marvel like, what are you doing? So, Alex, you're the one who has a little bit more like knowledge on Marvel. What do you think we can do to fix the situation, and how do you feel about Marvel's current situation?
I honestly think, because like you were talking about, Marvel's about to make a big move. We're not going to be, kind of in the same position right now. I don't know. Marvel definitely has been playing all of what they're doing with their comics division very safe. I feel there is not any big shakeups. Everything is just kind of brand synergy in the worst way. I feel. I don't know as far as the way to fix it. I don't think Marvel's going to be making any big strides on doing anything until they're kind of fully cemented in this new era that they're going into right now. As of right now, the only thing that is semi interesting, in my opinion, since the Ultimate Universe has ended, that Marvel is doing is this Avengers Armageddon stuff. Everything else that is potentially kind of cool, like Planet She-Hulk, gets fucking canceled. Um, and these other things that they're doing, the Iron Man series that everybody was hype about for 4 seconds is not great. I'll be honest. They had a new Avengers series that I thought was pretty good. Right now, I think genuinely the best written thing that Marvel has going for it currently is the Mortal Thor. I think Mortal Thor has been killing it, and it sucks because in my head I'm like, Mortal Thor is really, and I'm a big Marvel guy. Mortal Thor is really good. The current Captain America run is really good, and the Armageddon stuff is interesting. I'm not even gonna say really, really good. And even Stephanie Phillips' Daredevil run, maybe I'm gonna get crucified for this, but I don't think it deserved the hype that it was given. I don't think it's lived up to that hype so far. But with that being said, Marvel just isn't taking big swings like DC is taking. DC is constantly trying new things. At least it feels like with their absolute stuff. Now they're listening to some of the other things we want with some of the characters that we want. But Marvel, I don't know. I think everything is so MCU centric that I don't foresee, honestly, anything changing until we get into this next phase of what the MCU is going to be, and then honestly, they're going to chase whatever that is.
Yeah,
And I just DC is just not doing that as much as Marvel is.
very much so. And like B, you're somebody that like really focuses on like DC, so I wasn't gonna like make you bang a drum on that. I know
No,
like
you're
you've
good.
enjoyed Stephanie Phillips like a little bit too. I thought like it's been all right, but like
But
it
that's how I
definitely could.
feel. It
Yeah.
doesn't hit as good as I feel like the hype was there for. And then one of the things is whenever I go in and look at like the Marvel stand and everything like that, I don't see my Storm, I don't see my Luke Cage, I don't see like Jubilee and stuff like that. Like they just gave me a one-shot Jubilee a couple months ago and I thought that one was really good, but then they don't continue on with giving me Jubilee stuff and it disappoints me because Marvel has such a huge roster that they could just be. I don't even need like full continuity stories. I would love for some ongoings and stuff like that for Marvel, but they have such a huge roster that they could be like, here's a 5-issue series for this character, here's a 5-issue series for the kid this character, and just keep the ball rolling with just different characters each time. Like I just picked up Moonstar just because that one was interesting and that one was fun. The ending to that one was so much more fun than I thought it was going to be that I feel like this deserves more love than what like Spider-Man's been getting nowadays. And I love me some Spider-Man, but like I see 4 Spider-Mans on the shelf each week, and that feels so much more intimidating
Yeah.
than just being able to go say, hey, here's a side X-Men character that used to be a Valkyrie. That's freaking fun. That's a fun intro to somebody that you guys could get into, but they just
Right.
decide to throw them off to the side, and it really disappoints me in that manner.
Yeah, so we'll definitely have to keep an eye on Marvel in the next few months. I'm more interested in what DC's doing, and I'm more interested in what indies are doing. So we'll definitely have to keep an eye on that. Let's say, Alex, you are our guest. We appreciate you coming through. As always, we'd love to make sure everyone gets a closing statement. What do you want to leave the people with in terms of like the future of comic books as we are leaving SDCC?
Especially with DC, we've gotten a lot of really good announcements for comics that I'm super excited about. And I am someone who, I have been thrown into the my favorite character in all of comics is Sam Wilson's Captain America. And it
Oh, I
has
could notice.
thrown me into it has thrown me into this unfortunate but also, something I have that I've taken it upon myself to really put a lot of effort into. It's unfortunately thrown me in a situation where a lot of people will ask me, "Why do you like this character? He's Black Captain America," that kind of thing.
Mm.
I have grown up with a lot of the most important people in my life being individuals of different cultures, different races. And when people tell me shit like that, I'm like, why is that bother you? Why is that a
Mm.
concern for you? And that's why I'm so into the advocation for these characters, not just because of the color of their skin, but because they're great characters that people don't give the credit to because of the color of their skin. You know,
Mm.
it is not one way where it's because of that. It is in spite of whatever you want to claim about this character. This is a great character, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And what I would leave you with anything is we have a lot of announcements for characters that a lot of us have been advocating for, a lot of us have been wanting, and it's the time to support those characters. Whether it's the static stuff, the Vixen stuff, anything. If it's something that you want, something that you're complaining about, something that you want to see, whether it's characters, different cultures, different races, different sexualities, whatever, support them when they happen. And we've been put in a great situation where we have the opportunity to support, and when you see that, you need to support it because those big corporations are own. Unfortunately, it's just the reality of it. They're only ever going to see what the dollars bring. And if you
Yes.
show them that your dollars are going towards those characters that you really love, they're going to give us more of those characters. If you sell out these books, we will get a static movie in the next 5 years. If you sell out these books, we will have a Steel TV show. If you sell out these books, a Vixen will appear in the next DC team up movie. That is
Mm.
just the reality of the situation. And now's the time where we literally put our money where our mouth is. All those times where we're not buying certain books because we want to support the characters that we like, now's the time to break the piggy bank and support those.
Most definitely. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys. Thank y'all for having me.
Most definitely. B, what do you want to leave the people with?
I'm just gonna piggyback off of Alex there. Make sure you go out and support these comics that are coming out, but be mindful about all of the other comics that are too, because we do talk about what we are interested in, what's put in front of our faces, but there are so many other avenues to where comic book people aren't eating as good when it comes down to like the Wonder Woman community, when it comes down to the Asian community or the Hispanic community. All of these communities deserve the representation that they deserve that representation too. They need to have that representation out there so that way they don't be seen as this minority that doesn't get cared about. Be mindful of the other activists that are what they're talking about, but also just be mindful about what you're ingesting and what you're trying to do. You want to make sure you drink water, you want to make sure you touch grass and read a book, read a comic, just get educated a little bit more every day.
Most definitely. For me, I gotta say, like, I felt very caught between a lot of different things, like a lot of different rocks, a lot of different hard places this past weekend. I was so thankful for the opportunity to write about these different stories that were coming out. I was even blown away this morning. I got the opportunity to write about the fact that Bill Skivedges, I forget how to say his last name, beautiful painter, like does some of the most beautiful stuff in comic books over the past few years. He's done stuff like Moon Knight and Elektra and stuff like that, New Mutants over the years. Like made some of the most iconic things in comic books over the years. And uh I genuinely I am so thankful that I get to be in this position to talk about comics and be a journalist and have this fun doing this. And I think that the future of this industry depends on us supporting it. We need to show that we care about this. And that's why I was very much wanting to emphasize the fact that I love what Stephanie Williams is doing. I love what Morgan Hampton is doing. I'm loving that Cody Ziegler is getting this opportunity. But we were dangerously at a point a few months back where we might not have ever seen Static get an ongoing ever again. And I think about that so much, where yes, there was talks of potential for Static to get a book, but if Joe Illidge wouldn't like if Joe Illidge, if Morgan Hampton and Stephanie Williams and Nicholas Draper Ivy hadn't rallied all of us together to go support the Dakota incident, we may never have seen Static on his own ongoing ever again. And that shows that we have the power to like make black books sell, and that's what we're going to do with these titles. And I hope and pray that Marvel gets their mess together, because I would love to see a Black Panther book on the shelf again. I would love to read a Black Panther book. There's this great book by Dr. Sheena Howard called Why Wakanda Matters, and it is such a great like dissection of why Black heroes, not just T'Challa, but all of Wakanda matters, by giving people hope for Black fantasy, by giving people an escapism from the trauma that we have been inflicted with over the years. And I really truly feel as if we as Black nerds, as blurs, as like comic fans, we have the ability to read new stories and be passionate about them. I know so many folks that felt so seen by the announcement of Absolute Cyborg. And we didn't talk about Absolute Cyborg because there was just so much to talk about. Like, I mentioned it for like 2 seconds, but like, brother's out here with 2-threaded braids looking iconic. Like, people are already making fan art of it. I thought it was so cool. Like, and they're already hinting at this is going to lead into the Teen Titans coming into the Absolute universe. There's this whole generation of folks that are being touched by this, and it's so damn cool. But genuinely, we need to support these books if we want them. I wouldn't have pushed for a boycott if I didn't want these books to exist. But at the same time, this is the time to support. This is the time to actually be there for these creators more than ever. And that's what we're going to do. And I hopefully folks can get behind us, and as we move into this next season, into this next phase, because the future of comic books is in your hands, whether it be an indie book like Temporal written by Stephanie Williams, or if it's an indie book or it's a DC book like Vixen. You have the ability to be seen if you just go out and buy it. I know that comic shops can't always be the best place for folks like us, but you have 3 people of color here who care so deeply about this industry. And if that doesn't tell you something, what why are you here? So we will catch y'all next week for episode 57. We will catch y'all next time. Peace out.